They say that the best stories are the ones that are scary, but also true. Well, tonight's story is just that. In fact, this story is so true that there have been hundreds of sightings of her all over the world. Some say she's real, and others say she's a figment of our collective imagination. But I say she's both. She's as real as the monsters under your bed, and as real as the thoughts that haunt you in your dreams. And her name is La Llorona. The first time I heard this story was from an old woman. She told me it was best I didn't tell anyone. She told me this because no one would believe me. But I want to tell you because I know you'll understand. It began as most stories do with once upon a time. Once upon a time there was a beautiful woman who lived in a small village. The woman was known for her beauty and grace. People would come from miles around just to catch a glimpse of her. But despite her beauty, the woman was very lonely. She had no one in the world who loved her or cared about her. One day while walking through the forest, the woman came across a clearing. In the middle of the clearing was a small cottage. The woman knocked on the door, and a little girl answered. The woman asked if she could come in, and the little girl said yes. The woman sat down on a chair, and the little girl asked, "Why are you sad?" The woman told the little girl about her loneliness, and the little girl said, "You don't have to be lonely anymore. You can be my family." And the woman thought, "How wonderful. Finally, someone who wants to be with me." And they were happy for a long time, until one day the woman went into the forest and never came back. The little girl waited and waited, but the woman never came home. So the little girl went out into the forest to find her. As she walked, she began to cry, and those tears turned into a sad song that echoed through the trees. And it was then that the legend of La Llorona was born. Some say she took her own life because she couldn't take care of the child, others say she was taken by wolves or coyotes, and still others say she was taken by La Llorona. La Llorona, the weeping woman, the woman who took her own life or was taken by La Llorona, the evil spirit that haunts the earth, looking for children to raise as her own. You see, when the woman left the little girl, La Llorona took her to the river and drowned her. Then La Llorona raised her as her own, teaching her the ways of the forest and how to survive. The girl grew up to be a beautiful young woman, but she was wild and untamed. One day La Llorona told the girl it was time to find a husband. She took her to a clearing and said, "You will marry the man who comes through this forest next." The girl agreed, and soon enough, a man came through the forest. La Llorona hid behind a tree and watched as the man walked into the clearing. When he saw the girl, he was stunned by her beauty. He had never seen anyone so beautiful in his entire life. The girl and the man fell in love and were soon married. They had a beautiful wedding ceremony, and everyone in the village was invited. The bride looked stunning in her white dress, and the groom looked handsome in his suit. But no one noticed a single tear rolling down the bride's cheek. Not a single person noticed except for the old woman who told me this story. She said she saw the bride crying, because she knew her husband would never love her like her own father had loved her. The bride knew that no one could ever replace her father, so she spent the entire night crying. And that's why, my friends, if you hear the sad cries of a woman in the night, it's best not to stop and ask questions. Just keep walking, because if you stop and ask questions, you might just end up like the bride, trapped forever with a love that can never be yours. So remember, my friends, the story of La Llorona, the woman who cried because she could never be loved. If you hear her crying in the night, just keep walking. Don't look back, don't ask questions. Just keep walking away from the sound of her crying. Subscribe for more dark tales.